Hey Pointer Nation, and welcome back to another episode of the SportsHub. I'm your host, Will Haroldson. Alongside me, as always, is my partner, Ashton Parker. Today we'll cover Pointers men's hockey team and the basketball team, breaking down the final college football playoff rankings, and finally previewing the Packers' upcoming Sunday night battle against the Chicago Bears in Lambeau Field. All of this and more when we come back. Pointers men's basketball team fell on Friday to the UW Eau Claire Blue Gold 72-56 in the WIAC home opener. Despite Garrett Nelson's impressive 20-point contest, the Pointers just couldn't knock down three-pointers, going 2 for 23 on Friday's contest. Pointers now have a little break until their next game on December 18th, where they will head up to Holland, Michigan to take on Hope College. So Ashton, the break couldn't come at a better time. 2 for 23 from three-point range is really bad. How do they fix that problem offensively?
Yeah, I think it honestly, it all stems from the break that they're going to have. And it's, after such a poor performance like that, sometimes what the best thing that you can do is just take a break, honestly. And, just try kind of regroup, fix. Because if they would have just knocked down that at least, maybe just 10 more of those, maybe just go 40, 50%, they would have won the game. Mm-hmm. And like you said, he had a really good performance there.
Garrett Nelson, a solid 20-point game.
Exactly. So I think that this team, does have a lot of potential, and they can do really good things. It's just that they need to start knocking down those three-pointers.
Yeah, without question, and that's kind of how this team is built upon, is their ability to stretch the court and knock down three-point jumpers, but 2 for 23, you're not going to win any game no matter who you're playing. I don't care if you're Michael Jordan in the Bulls or LeBron James in the Lakers, Giannis in the Bucks. If you shoot 2 for 23 from three-point range, there's no chance in the world that you're winning that game. But now we're the first 2 conference games of the season, dropping both of them, one albeit to Whitewater.
Yeah.
But when you're in the WIAC in basketball, you really kind of have to get off to a solid start. And I don't want to say the season's over with an 0-2 start, but you got to think that there's a little bit of kind of panic setting in.
Yeah, it's not
0-2.
Exactly, it's not great, and that's pretty much just everything with the WIAC in general, with all kind of sports, that you really need to jump on the opponents right away and get those early wins, because in the future it is going to matter when it comes to playoffs, and the Pointers just need to make sure that they use this opportunity against Hope to kind of just bounce back, get into a little bit of a flow, and use that for their next for the future. Honestly.
Yeah, the springboard themselves into success in the future.
Exactly.
The Pointers men's hockey team completed the weekend sweep against conference opponents UW Stout and Northland College to claim first place of the WIAC. Ashton, you and I were talking about how the team is struggling with taking some shots, and they're taking smarter shots, and I think that's even more relevant in the last 2 games where they put up 11 total goals. So what do you think has led to the turnaround? Because statistically, you look back on this team, they are taking much higher percentage shots. They're not taking as many because they're taking perfectly executed shots.
Exactly. They're taking smarter shots, and I think you just explained it perfectly on why they're doing better, is that they're not forcing anything. They're allowing themselves to just find those perfect opportunities to make those goals. And as you can see, they've been doing incredibly well recently. Within the past 4 games, they have a 3-0-1 record with 3 wins and a tie. And so they, like we said earlier, as you said, we kind of criticized them for, taking a lot of shots and not having that great of a goal percentage. But now, like you said, the less shots being taken, but the higher quality of shots overall allows the Pointers to score more and to really show that potential that we thought they had at the beginning of the season.
Absolutely, because they came into the season preseason favorites to win the WIAC, and they're back into contention for national championship race. They've definitely put themselves back into contention with that. Rankings will come out later today for Division III men's hockey. They'll be back in action this Friday, and I believe we'll have the call for that game where they will be taking on UW Eau Claire, I think, in KB Willett Arena. Yeah. Should be a great game, both really well-coached teams. But I really think that hot streak for the Pointers is really benefiting them. Excuse me, I can't speak English. Is really benefiting them in the long run, because you can get some of these win streaks going that brings more confidence to your team in whatever sport you're in.
Exactly, and these next two games are going to be very important because they're both against UW-Eau Claire, so these are both WIAC games. And like we said earlier with basketball, in the WIAC, it's very important for you to get those early starts or to get those wins in the early part of the season against opponents because it's going to matter in the future.
Right. I don't want to call them freebies, but it's a chance to get yourself ahead early in a way.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll break down the final college football playoff rankings and preview this year's semifinal matchups. So don't tune away, because we'll be right back.
I just wanted to get good grades and to do well. But it also made me realize that I have a lot of career goals.
You're there to get a full college experience, not only participate in your sport, but participate in things outside of that. And it's all about growing as a person.
My coaches have helped me with figuring out who I really am. Their lives are dedicated for us to succeed.
Stake in the Peach Bowl. Okay.
College football playoff field is set, and it'll be number 1 Alabama versus number 4 Cincinnati in the Cotton Bowl. Number 2 Michigan will take on number 3 Georgia in the Orange Bowl. So Ashton, the field is finally set.
Yes.
I want to get your perspective on are there any things that you think were a little questionable? Anything that shocked you this weekend? Give me what you thought.
Well, definitely Georgia losing. I didn't think that was going to happen because I think correct me if they're wrong. They had a perfect season going into it,
did.
And then lost to Alabama, which it is Alabama. As you can see, they're ranked number 1 now, but still, if you have a perfect season going into it, you're obviously expected to be the favorites. Now, do I think Alabama deserves to be 1 after that? No, I don't think that. I think Michigan should have been 1 personally because of just the absolute annihilation they had against Iowa in the Big Ten championship. But I think I think Alabama should have been number 2 at least. They did deserve to go up because they did beat Georgia. But I don't think really Georgia going down to 3 makes sense. But Alabama going to 1 just doesn't make sense.
I think ultimately we see a lot of controversial stuff come out of the college playoff committee.
Yeah.
And I think what they value is they value the pretty games, and what I mean is 2 highly ranked teams.
Exactly.
And nothing against Iowa, they're just not the opponent that an Alabama is to Georgia.
Exactly.
Albeit, the reason they're number 1 is they beat the number 1 team in the country by 17 points.
Yeah.
In essentially a home field in Atlanta. This team hasn't given up more than 10 points a game all year, and they got their doors blown out. Bryce Young probably won the Heisman in the first half of that game, throwing for over 300 yards in the first half.
Yeah.
So I think the semifinals are going to be really interesting because for the first time ever, we have a group of 5 team in Cincinnati.
Yes.
They played a really, really great season so far, but I think that this poll for Alabama is not a favorable matchup for them. I think they match up better against a Michigan or a Georgia. I think they'll definitely have a chance.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be really difficult. A lot of people are expecting it's just going to be a rematch in the national championship between Alabama and Georgia.
Exactly.
So if you had to pick a favorite as of now, who would you think?
Okay, so right now, I'm honestly thinking Michigan is the favorite to win. Now, obviously, I could have also chosen Alabama, but I think because they beat Ohio State by a lot, and then they beat Iowa by even more than a lot.
Yeah, 39 points.
Exactly. So I think they have that momentum going into versus Georgia, which like you said, got their absolutely smacked against Alabama. So I think they're going to take that momentum. They're going to push through Georgia. And then in the other semifinal game, that's going to be a little more interesting. Like I said, correct me if I'm wrong, does Cincinnati still have a perfect season going?
They do.
They do, okay. So they still have that. Cincinnati has that going for them. Alabama, of course, has that win versus Georgia. So that one's going to be a little, or a little more tightly contested than I think Michigan versus Georgia is going to be. I think if I had to choose one for Alabama versus Cincinnati, I think Alabama's going to win, but it's not going to be by much. Probably going to be by one score. And then it's going to be like 1 versus 2, it's going to be a 1 versus 2 finale, and I think Michigan's going to win it.
I think for Michigan, the team that they probably got is probably the team they don't want to play, because for the first time this season, Georgia got smacked in the mouth. And so they're going to be angry. They're going to want to come out and compete. I agree. I think Michigan they're on a roll, and I think they're a team that if you get behind early, it's really hard to come back on. And another question I want to ask is, other than the semifinal games, is there another bowl that's caught your attention this entire
Yeah, season? I mean, because we're here, I think Wisconsin versus Arizona State is interesting. I don't agree with it necessarily. I think they should have been in the Outback Bowl besides Penn State, but I think going to Las Vegas, the stadium's absolutely beautiful. It looks nice. It sucks that it's not going to be on a New Year's Day, one of those 6 bowls. But it's going to give them a chance to hopefully just end off the season on a good note, which ultimately it was a good season, especially after that 1-3 start. I think the ending was a little sour.
It was a little shaky, yeah.
But I think overall there's a lot of good to come out of it. The really only bad thing that came out of it was that Mertz just isn't the QB for the future.
Absolutely. I think unless drastic improvements come this upcoming offseason, Mertz has shown he has the potential, but he just continues to just make mistakes.
Yep.
I think the point of, as Wisconsin fans, we assume that they're just going to be a good team all year, that they're going to go 11-1, 10-2,
9-3,
12-0, play in the Big Ten championship game. And ultimately, I think your point of saying, well, we were 1-3 and we put ourselves in contention to potentially win the division.
Yeah.
That should be something you should be proud of.
Yes.
I think that's a great point. I think it is a good matchup, but this Wisconsin team's going to be coming out playing angry after the way they lost to Minnesota and lost the Axe. They're going to be angry. They're going to come out playing. It should be a good game, I would think. We're going to take another short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the Packers' upcoming game versus the Bears. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
UW-Stevens Point is home.
It's a university where professors know your name and get you involved in research.
They inspire us to realize big dreams.
At UW-Stevens Point, sustainability is what we stand for.
Our beautiful campus encourages exploration, developing new fields, and problem solving for the real world.
It's a great place to launch your career.
UW-Stevens Point is home.
Apply today at uwsp.edu.
The Green Bay Packers are 9-3 coming out of their bye and look to keep things rolling against the struggling Chicago Bears. The Bears really took one on the chin last Sunday when they took on the Arizona Cardinals at home and are looking to spoil their hopes by trying to ruin the Packers' chances at the 1 seed this upcoming week. So Ashton, I want to get your breakdown of this game. What do you expect coming from the Packers to put themselves in a potential chance to win, and do they get it?
Yeah, so I think that the Packers are definitely going to win this in this game. We obviously have a few weeks ago we have the previous game to look at, and the score it did seem kind of close. I think it was like 24-14, but when you watch the game, it didn't really look like that. It looked like just pure domination from the Packers, and I think that's definitely going to be the same case for this upcoming game. And, as you said, this game has a lot of implications for the 1 seed, but it also has a lot of implications for the NFC North, because since the Detroit Lions finally got their first win of the season against the Vikings, bless up for that, because of that, the Packers have a chance to win the NFC North next week. 2 things have to happen. First, they have to win, and I think they're definitely going to do that. And then the bit more of an iffy situation is that the Pittsburgh Steelers have to beat the Vikings. Now, it can happen. I think the Steelers are 6-5-1 right now. but they are one of the most inconsistent teams in the NFL. So either they're going to do what they did yesterday and beat the Ravens, and well, it was close. They did beat the Ravens, which are a very good team. Either they're going to do that, or they're going to be like how they played against the Packers or the Bengals, which they got beat by 31.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I think another thing to look into is Chicago is just riddled with injuries.
Correct.
Andy Dalton has really been struggling lately. He threw a few interceptions against Arizona that ultimately just ended that game. But when you think of Chicago, you think of a really stingy defense. And they've got so many injuries. Their defense has just been torn apart this entire season.
Yeah, and you also bring up another very good point is that Justin Fields, he's probably not going to be back for the versus the Packers, which he did play against during their first meeting. So that just brings another disadvantage for the Bears, because not only do the Bears have to play against the 93 Packers, they have to play at Lambeau, and they have their backup QB playing, right. and their defense is riddled with injuries. You said. Now, we can't say the same thing about the Packers. The Packers are still getting slapped by injuries, and they still are. Some people are coming back, and they're starting to, get their original starters back, but it's still a case that the depth for the Packers is just absolutely insane. And the fact that they are still 9-3 with the amount of injuries they've had is just a testament to how good their depth is.
Right, and they could very well be 10-2 right now if Aaron Rodgers would have played that game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Excuse me, they probably would have won that game. But
or if they didn't choke against the Vikings.
That's right. What if could have been? All that doesn't matter. All you got to do is win out.
Exactly.
And there's a few games that are maybe a little iffy, but you look down the rest of the schedule. There's a lot of winnable games there.
They do have, I think, one of the top 3 easiest schedules left of the year, because they have to play against all 3 members of the teams of the NFC North, and they're all pretty bad. And then you have the Browns, which are struggling right now. They're also very inconsistent, and the only game that can give them sort of trouble is against Baltimore, and even that is very favorable for the Packers.
Right. Lamar Jackson, as dynamic as he is, has not looked like himself lately.
Nope.
Thrown way too many interceptions.
You want to know why?
And
it's because they're inconsistent. I feel like inconsistency is just the name of the game for the AFC North in this 2021 season.
This has been an odd NFL season.
Oh, it's been weird.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that'll do it for today's final episode of the semester of the Sports Hub. Thank you, all you loyal viewers, for tuning in to today's episode. And don't forget to check out our other content on SPTV's YouTube channel. For my partner, Ashton Parker, I'm Will Haroldson, and we'll see you next time.